things are unfolding in a very unusual and bizarre and at times disturbing way for the Jacksonville Jaguars. The photos and videos that emerged over the weekend, we didn't address them, we didn't touch it, we didn't write about it, we didn't do anything with it until the Jaguars or Meyer addressed the situation. He did on Monday, and I don't know if he thought that was going to be the end of it. I don't know if he realized it was really going to be the beginning of it, but there were some indications on Tuesday morning that things were going a bit sideways for Meyer in Jacksonville, and then came the statement from Shad Khans, the owner of the team, which is a pretty strong statement, Chris. Here it is. I've addressed this matter with Urban. Specifics of our conversation will be held in confidence. What I will say is his conduct last weekend was inexcusable. I appreciate Urban's remorse, which I believe is sincere. Now, he must regain our trust and respect. That will require a personal commitment from Urban to everyone who supports, represents, or plays for our team. I am confident he will deliver. There's a lot there.
Yeah,
There's a lot in that statement.
Yeah.
And just the fact that he says he must regain our trust and respect means he has lost our trust and respect. And, you know, I get a lot of feedback from people saying, why do you care? Why the guy didn't do anything wrong. The guy didn't do anything illegal. Why is it a big deal? And it's like, well, it doesn't matter why. It doesn't matter what we think. When the owner of the team is putting out that kind of a statement, it doesn't matter what we think. We know what he thinks. And he's the guy that signs the checks. He's the guy that decides who's going to coach the team. And Chris, Shereen Williams and I were talking this through yesterday, and it finally dawned on me, the biggest issue here isn't what he did in that bar on Friday night.
Right.
The biggest issue is this is a team that has lost 19 games in a row.
Right.
And he could say, hey, the first 15 don't apply to me. Well, they apply to the team, and you work for the team, and the team is trying to avoid becoming the third team in NFL history to not lose 20 in a row.
Yeah.
We got 3 extra days before we play the Titans.
Yeah.
You just had a heartbreaking loss. What are you going to do, Urban? What are we going to do? We got a lot to fix. Let's go. We got 3 extra days. Let's take full advantage of those 3 extra days. 24 times 3. If I could do the math in my head, I would tell you that's 72 hours extra that's fallen into our laps. Let's go. Let's get ready. Let's avoid the indignity of being only the third team in NFL history to lose 20 in a row. He decides to hang out in Ohio.
That's Mike. I know. It's the number
Let's
one.
Let's the team go back to Jacksonville.
Right.
Visiting the grandkids.
Right.
That to me is the breach of trust, not what he did. The what he did just underscores the stupidity of it because he did it in the open.
Yes, right. But
it's abandoning. He abandoned his post.
Yes,
at a critical time.
100%. You know, I know it's something I brought up a little yesterday, and you know that's what I don't understand people when they talk about like, well, it's not a big deal. He didn't break the law. I understand that, but that's why Mike and I are here. Because we're trying to explain to you in the football world, there's things that should and shouldn't be done. And there's a militaristic, I'm going to butcher that word again.
Close enough.
Yeah, close enough. We'll go with it. That chain and command.
When we can turn, we'll properly explain how to pronounce
we'll get that
word.
right. But there's a chain of command, and there's things that are done as far as getting the locker room to respect you and all work together as one. And, of course, the greatest leader of that group has to be the head coach. You know, and we never got into this yesterday a little bit just about the locker room itself. So, yeah, you're 0-4. And, yes, now you have a long weekend, and you're going to take the whole weekend off? What? That makes no sense. Added to the fact, like we talked about, listen, the captain of the ship, you know, he comes back with all the soldiers after the battle. And sorry, that's the way it goes. You know, as I talked, I played 8 years in the NFL, never had a head coach not on the plane on the way back. I don't know anybody I've never heard of it, unless there was like a death in the family. You know, I certainly my dad, all the years with Bill Parcells, he was on the plane every time. You know, so that makes no sense to me. And then, you know, you also put yourself above the rest of the football team to a degree. You're supposed to be the leader, the lead example. I'm the guy that grinds and does everything to make the organization better. and you're not going to go back with the team. You're basically going to break team rules and make your own rules and just stay back and, like you said, hang with the family. Yeah, the locker room's going to have issues with that. That's the problem. They're going to go, well, wait. So can next week and when we play, I don't even know who the hell they're playing this week. Whoever we're playing,
Titans.
The Titans. Can I stay in Nashville, or can I stay in Chicago when we play there the next time? The coach did. I mean, that's the precedence you're setting. Let alone there's trust issues already. We know down there. I mean, it's been a little bit of all over the place. I don't know any other way to say it. From the strength coach to I'm missing something else. Well, the Tim Tebow fiasco. I mean, yeah, so it just looks like amateur hour, and I've tried to defend him, but the more and more you think about it, you just go, how can you defend it? How can you defend it? I did have faith in him as a head coach, but I don't know if I have faith in him as a leader of NFL men, and that's really where it's a bad thing.
Staying behind in Ohio is one thing, especially if we don't know what he said to his team before he left them and they returned to Jacksonville. Maybe he said, I got some grandchildren here. I don't get many opportunities to see them. I'm going to spend a day or two with them, but I'm going to be working the whole time. When those kids go to bed, I'm going to be watching film, and I'm going to be figuring out how to fix this. And okay, fine. If you get a little kind of a tenuous, all right, we'll give you the benefit of the doubt. You got grandkids, you're from Ohio. And then he does what he did. It's just all the circumstances thrown together. It's a horrible look, and it's stunning. And it suggests that he's really not all in. If you're an NFL coach, and we learned this with Steve Spurrier. Steve Spurrier tried the whole country club approach to being an NFL head coach.
Yeah, no.
That doesn't work, because the other 31 are psychos, and they are there every day. And they are busting their asses every day, and they are looking to create any advantage that they can because it is so close. It does come down to one play here, one play there. You've got to be strategizing. You've got to be studying. You've got to be thinking. You've got to be churning. You've got to be going, and you have to love it. You can't treat it like a guy who punches the clock at the Piggly Wiggly and runs home and drinks beer and watches TV all weekend until it's time to show up for work again. Those jobs suck. And people work hard at them, and I admire them for it.
Yeah.
My point is, this is a job you should want to be there. You should want to be doing this. This isn't something where you're like, man, I need a break. Man, I need a couple days off. I need to go hang out with the grandkids, or hang out with the grandkids, as the case may be. No, you're all in or you're all out.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to do it, if you don't want to bust your ass, there's a long line of guys who will do it, and they don't view it as a burden. That's the thing.
No.
So many jobs out there, and I'm grateful for what we do every single day, Chris, because I have had jobs that I view as a burden, and I have hated those jobs. And I am grateful every single day that I have a job now that I love, that I will gladly show up and do whatever needs to be done because I thoroughly enjoy every second of it. You better view being a head football coach in the NFL that way, or get out. And not embracing the challenge of helping the Jaguars avoid loss in a row number 20 and getting his ass back to Jacksonville. Even if his plan was to stay, hey, hey, Shelly, I know we had planned to hang around. I got to get back. I got to get back. Look how close we were to winning tonight. And, this team has now lost 19 in a row. They're looking at 20. Only two teams in NFL history have lost 20 in a row. I got to get back. We got the offseason. We can come to Ohio in the offseason. I got to get back.
Yeah.
My guys need me. We got to figure this out. We got to get this right. We got to beat the Titans. Titans are a playoff team. We got to take care of business. I'm sorry, but I got to do this. That to me is the part that justifies the use of the word inexcusable by Shad Khans. It's not the photos. It's not the videos. It's abandoning his post.
100%.
And it's a post that you should never view as a burden. It's a post that you should happily station and fulfill, because if you don't want it, like I said, there's plenty of others that would love to have that job.
100%. You said a lot of good things there. First off, He can fly the grandkids to Jacksonville, certainly, right? He could do that, all right? But it's the middle of the football season. And to your point, like NFL coaches, vacations, like even in the offseason, it doesn't exist. Yeah, hey, we're in South Florida. Okay, a head coach, whatever. They're still down there on the phone thinking about it. All they're doing is still, it's still football, even on a vacation where you're supposed to be checked out. I mean, listen, Bill Belichick's like famous for sitting on the beach, like watching film while he's on the beach with like his 25-pound backpack that he carries around. Like his vacation is like, let me go sit on the beach and I'll read all the scouting reports and look at film. And every now and then I'll look up and go, hey, there's the sun in the ocean. This is beautiful. I mean, that's how NFL head coaches are wired. I mean, that's how they are. And then, Mike, you said the right thing, too. And this is where, you brought up Steve Spurrier or other coaches. This is where it is different. It's just a different world, the NFL, compared to college football. College football, for lack of a better way, it's a little bit of a more communicating, maybe people skills, being a politician to a degree, getting kids to buy into the program, and this is what we're going to do, and getting the parents to buy in so you can get the kids there. None of that crap matters in the NFL. It has nothing to do with anything. You said the word strategist, right? That's what it is. The NFL is all about, it's a thinking man's game for the head coach. Wait, we did this last week. Now we got to tweak this and do this because we got a different matchup. There's no game where you're going to step on the field and just go, we're better. And even if we play a C- game, we'll win by 30. You get 5 or 6 of those at Ohio State once you get it rolling the way he had it rolling. And that's where I think it's a shock to some of these college coaches who come up. Steve Spurrier, you brought that up. Yeah, I'm a good ball coach, but I'm going to call the same plays I called at Florida, and I'm a ball coach. No, you're a good college ball coach. But in the NFL, after we saw your plays for 3 games, we knew that was the end of it, and everybody just started to dominate you that way. It's a different animal altogether. It's a different game altogether, and I think that's probably where Urban Meyer is kind of getting hit in the face right now with the reality of this.
There's another angle to this also that just occurred to me. The next game against the Titans, who's the coach of the Titans?
Yeah, Mike Vrabel.
Yeah. Who did Mike Vrabel work for at one point?
Yeah, that's right. Belichick.
No, he worked for Urban Meyer.
Yes, right.
And then so,
right.
So you've got a game coming up. Set aside the 19-game losing streak. You've got a game coming up against one of your former pupils, a guy who worked for you,
right.
A guy who has had success in a short period of time in the NFL, a guy whose roster, top to bottom, is better than yours. Isn't that enough? Setting everything else aside, setting aside the heartbreaking loss to the Bengals, 4 in a row to start the season, 19 in a row overall, isn't the fact, just from the standpoint of basic competitive type A juices, isn't that enough to get you to get your ass on the plane and start working so you can beat the guy that used to work for you? Isn't that enough, Chris? And if it isn't, enough, Urban Meyer needs to look in the mirror today. He needs to listen to what I'm saying, not that he ever will. He needs to look in the mirror, and he has to ask himself honestly, if that isn't enough to get me to go all in, I shouldn't have done this.
Yeah.
I should go do something else, stand down, and let someone else take this job who will do it the right way.
Yeah. I mean, listen, he's got to be having those conversations with him right now. That's the other problem going back to the locker room and the organization, where you probably had guys, players, and coaches who were probably there over the weekend going, what the hell? You had guys rehabbing with injuries going, wait, I'm here, but the coach who's making a lot more money than me is not? That doesn't
Anybody
make
seen
sense.
Coach? Oh, I've seen the coach.
Yeah.
I've seen the coach.
Right.
And I got him right here. You want to see the coach?
Let
you
alone,
see where Coach is?
Yeah. You hear the story, right, that he talked to the team, and I can't remember where I read it yesterday, but they talked about like the team kind of laughed when he walked out of the room after his explanation. Yeah, because a lot of the players, the way he explained that, are just not going to buy that. They're not. They're not going to buy it. I'm not trying to say he's a liar
They've
or whatever.
seen the videos.
But the story seems,
the pictures and the videos.
What? There was a group that asked me to come over to take pictures, the bar next door. What?
Tried to pull me out on the dance floor.
What?
They've seen the pictures. They've seen the videos.
Challenge flag. Call Al Riveron back. Yeah, that's not going to fly in the locker room. That stuff right there. That's college BS. You're talking to some men in that locker room who are plus 30 years old or in their upper 20s. They've been around. They got kids. You know, you can't just make like little banner statements like that and think, oh, they're 18, they'll buy it. Don't worry. I mean, and that's where it's a different game, and that's where he's on real thin ice right now.
It was Mike Silver, formerly of NFL Network, now with the Washington football team, that had spoken to a Jaguars player unnamed who said that things are pretty bad right now. But Meyer himself on the Urban Meyer radio show said yesterday that things are not good. Here is some of what Meyer had to say.
Coach, how difficult were the conversations the last couple of days, and what is your reaction initially to Mr. Khan's statement?
The conversations have been horrible. Jeff, the locker room has been my entire life. That's all I've ever looked at. I've always, even other coaches, when I was a young coach, I said, when I'd hear conversations among coaching staff, and I would always say, there's only one thing that matters in this whole facility or organization, and that's the locker room. How we build it, how we treat it, how we earn their trust, how we, that goes back to the culture of excellence, I call it around here, is how do we make sure we give them everything possible.
Yeah, boy.
Yikes.
I don't know that he's helping himself with any of that.
It's just like, are you listening to yourself? Yeah.
In light of the conversation that we just had, and I think we hit every good point that needed to be addressed, that just sounds like a guy who has decided that when in doubt, I'm just going to talk, and I'm just going to deal with it, and I'll say words, and then maybe they'll leave me alone.
Yeah. Yeah,
I feel like that's all it was, because it's hollow. In light of what he did and how we just addressed it, everything he said is hollow, and it makes what he did more glaring. What the hell are you doing? If this is so important to you, why aren't you on that plane? Why aren't you in that locker room? Why aren't you in that building with the Titans coming to town, and you get a gift of 3 extra days to get ready for it? I'm stunned by that. I'm stunned by how nonchalant it seems. And the guy just doesn't get it. And that's what takes me back to I think is going on here. I think it's a multi-million-dollar game of chess, checkers, and chicken between Shad Khan and Urban Meyer. Khan wants him out, I believe.
You do.
Khan doesn't want to fire him and owe him the money.
Right.
He's hoping that Meyer's ego and pride will cause him to walk away.
Yeah, I mean, if I was the owner of the football team, I'd probably be the same way. I mean, I would be the same way. There's been enough crap there, this whole time. And again, I got a lot of respect for Urban Meyer in a lot of ways. Like I told you, I mean, he recruited me when he was coaching at Notre Dame. So maybe that past relationship has, flooded my brain a little bit with some bias. But it's hard when you just talk about all the facts of things that have happened this offseason into the season to really back them up at this point. And, I mean, I hear you. I'm with you. I'm guessing, I'm guessing he finishes the year. I'm going to say he does that. But I think like what you said yesterday, the more this has gone by and I've had time to digest it, I think you're right. It's like he finishes the year, but I don't think he ever sees 2022. I think he's going to realize
why bother? Why bother to finish
I don't know. Maybe he's just going to try. I think maybe the pride this year just to say I'm going to finish the job with the team, and I don't know. I don't know. You're right. I don't have a reason other than that he just might try to finish the year out because he knows it's going to look even worse just to tuck tail and quit right now too.
Wait till he walks out of the tunnel on Sunday.
He's going to hear some of the most creative stuff he's ever heard.
Yeah. And what do we say all the time about NFL teams that make mistakes? The best thing you can do when you've made a mistake
rip the Band-Aid off,
is acknowledge it and move on.
Yeah, right.
By doubling down, you make it worse.
Right.
And it's very easy for me to spend Shad Khans' money, but that statement yesterday was as strong of a statement as we've seen an owner issue regarding his head coach that I can remember in 20 years of covering the league. I don't play this game. Don't just And hey, to the extent this is the other side of it. To the extent that Shad Khan is worried that if he fires Urban Meyer for cause, there's going to be a grievance, there's going to be a fight, there's going to be an issue, and he may have to pay him later. Here's the thing that you got to keep in mind. All of these coaching contracts provide that any disputes will be resolved not by a judge, a jury, an independent arbitrator, a mediator, or anything like that. They all get resolved by the commissioner or his designee. So, fear not, Shad Khan. You have a favorable forum.
I didn't even realize that.
Where you can litigate this question. So go ahead and fire the guy if that's what you want to do. You've tried to get him to quit. It's clear he's not going to quit, at least not in the short term. Maybe you play it out for a week or two, but if you want him out, just fire him. And I know you may have to pay him a lot of money on the back end. You got a lot of money, and you're going to make a lot more money, especially from gambling. This is a gamble you don't want to take, because if you know that this guy is not fit to be the coach of your team, the longer he's there, the more damage he's going to do.
Yeah, I think if you're at that point where you just go, man, it's not right. I hear what you're saying. I do. You know, I don't know. Maybe the Khans' pride, you know, their pride gets in the way here because, of course, they went out on a limb here to make this hire. So maybe they don't want to see it just, you know, be wiped away so quickly. A lot of different things at play here, certainly. But, like, as bad as a look as you can get for an NFL head coach, really, is about as bad as it can get.
And I could see them giving him one last chance, a very thin opportunity. But it's just not going to work. And, you know, with players, we say, hey, it's always good to get your second chance with the team that currently employs you because the team doesn't want that guy to get his wake-up call and go somewhere else. Like Chris Carter, when the Eagles cut him and then he becomes a Hall of Famer, you want the guy to turn it around on your roster. Shad Khan doesn't have to worry about that. Trust me.
Right.
If Mike Tomlin gets fired today, he's got a job tomorrow. If Urban Meyer gets fired today, you don't have to worry about him showing up in the NFL anywhere, anytime, ever again.
I would think like
that isn't part of the analysis.
No, right? Yeah. Like, I mean, after this, like, you know, USC, whatever. I mean, I would be like, what? Wait, Urban Meyer, who seems to not stay at a job for more than 3 or 4 years, and this and all that goes along with it. Like, I mean, I just can't imagine that even a college team is going to be quite that interested at this point. So, yeah, you're right. It's not going to get thrown back in their face, especially not in the NFL. There's no way an NFL team will flirt with him ever again after this.
One last point on this, because I think that it's fair for the audience to hear it, and I've only seen the words. I haven't heard them. I'm curious to hear how it sounds. Here is Meyer from his radio show yesterday talking about getting ready to play the Titans amid all of this swirling controversy.
Urban, with this distraction, trying to get the team refocused on a game in Tennessee, the players are going to get questions throughout the week, I'm sure, not only from local media, but national media, and then also the visiting team's media. How do you try to attempt to kind of focus away from the distraction to get a team ready to play a football game?
Once again, I don't believe that's in my court. We're going to do the best, but you know this, Jeff, as well as anyone, that the leaders on our team are going to make that decision. And it depends how much trust you have built up with them, how we structure everything this week and focus on winning that game. So I'm going to be as extremely clear as I can. Our staff is working their tails off, but you know as well as I do that the ownership of this team is with the players.
It depends how much trust you have with him. You have none. The owner just said you have no trust. You have to rebuild the trust. There is no trust.
Right.
And the staff working their tails off, well, somebody wasn't working his tail off on Friday and Saturday, and whenever it was that he went back to Jacksonville. There's just an irony that oozes from these words that underscores the absence of self-awareness. That's what got him into this mess, and that's what is making it like quicksand as he tries to get out of it. This is Michael Scott as a football coach, and he can't figure out how to make it right other than just by talking. And if I say enough, maybe the magic word is going to come out of my mouth and everything's going to be fine. The problem is, based on what he said last night, I don't know that he made it any better.
Definitely
and he's got
not.
a press conference today at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. I'm going to be listening to it, and I'm sure many others will, to hear what he has to say about this, because I think the more he talks, the worse it seems.
It does seem. I mean, he's talking himself into a corner where it's like, are you listening to the words that are coming out of your mouth? You're doing the opposite of what you're talking about. So that's where he's killing himself. Last thing I'll say about this is this right here. To your point with rip the Band-Aid off, or if you know you made a mistake, you do at some point. At some point late in the year, you got to get to that point to go, wait, is he going to be here in 2022 or not? I mean, to me, if I'm Jacksonville and you do come to the point of, wait, we know Urban Meyer's not the guy here, he's not going to be back for 2022, you need to act fast. You know, you got Trevor Lawrence as your quarterback. I'm not necessarily in love with the offensive staff they have there in Jacksonville as is anyways. And to me, with that kind of guy, you know, you better be front in line for the top offensive names that are going to be head coach candidates, whether that's Brian Daboll, Eric Bieniemy. I'm probably missing a few other people there in that conversation. But that, to me, is got to be on your radar and the future thinking of your organization. You have Trevor Lawrence. He's going to be damn good. You want to set him up the right way, and right now you're not setting him up the right way, as we see.
One more angle that just came to mind. Now, they're 2 games away from their bye week. After they play the Titans, they play the Dolphins. Not in Jacksonville, not in Miami, not anywhere in Florida. They play the Dolphins in London. If you're the NFL...
Yeah, I know. It's not the greatest.
Wouldn't you kind of like it, given everything that's currently happening, wouldn't you kind of like it when you're exporting one of only 2 games this year to London? Wouldn't you kind of like it if he wasn't the head coach? I mean, let's be realistic about it. If I'm the commissioner right now and I'm paying any attention whatsoever to what's going on, I'm thinking, man, I really don't like the idea of the Jaguars going to London and playing a game there with Urban Meyer as the head coach 2 weeks after all of this stuff. And again, if there is a fight over whether or not they have to pay Urban Meyer, the commissioner's the one who decides it. I just think that we would be extremely naive to believe that there are not various forms of back-channel communications, conversations that never happened on burner phones and other forms of communication that would never be proven in a court of law or elsewhere, that potentially could grease the skids toward Urban Meyer not being the coach of the Jaguars by the time that the Jaguars play at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on October 17, Chris. And I just thought of that now, looking at their schedule. If I'm the NFL,
they don't love that.
I don't like this look coming up here in just about 11 days.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there, definitely. It's not the media, attention or focal point that you want when you're trying to spread the love of the game throughout the world and Europe and, of course, the UK. This is going to be a hot-button topic, and it's not going to go away here anytime soon.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.